What's going on, y'all? I'm Czar, and in this video, we'll be taking a look at the Neumann TLM102 versus the Vanguard V4 Gen 2. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Front End Audio for making this video possible, as they sent me the TLM102. So a lot of people ask me, what do I think of the TLM102? And my answer is, it's not a bad sounding mic, but there's a mic that I recommend for multiple reasons over this one, and that is the Vanguard V4 Gen 2. So in this video, we'll be taking a listen to these on rap vocals as well as female vocals. We'll be taking a look at what they come with, and of course I'll be discussing why I recommend the Vanguard over the Neumann. There'll be a link in the description for both of these mics if y'all want to check them out, learn more about them, or picking them up. And both of these mics are available at Front End Audio. Let's get into it. All right, so first let's go over some specs and just look at some similarities and differences between these two mics. On the left, we've got the Neumann TLM102 and some bullet points for it. And on the right, we got the Vanguard V4 Gen 2. So let's start with the Neumann TLM102. It's made in Germany. It's transformerless, which, fun fact, that's what TLM in the name stands for, transformerless microphone. It's cardioid only, frequency range 20 Hz to 20K, which is standard for a microphone. Max SPL, which is the sound pressure level, 144 dB. Self noise, 12 dB A-weighted. Signal to noise ratio, 82 dB A-weighted. And it comes with a 2-year warranty. Looking over at the Vanguard V4 Gen 2, it's made in the USA. It's also transformerless. It has cardioid, figure 8, and omni polar patterns. It has a negative 10 dB pad as well as a negative 20 dB pad, a frequency range of 20 Hz to 20K, max SPL 135 dB, but if you use the pad, you can get it up to 145 dB. Self noise 12 dB A-weighted, signal to noise ratio 82 dB A-weighted, and has a 5-year warranty. So you can see we have some similarities here as well as a few differences. Looking at the similarities, they're both transformerless. They both have the same frequency range. The SPL, I'm going to go ahead and say that's the same. I really don't think there's or see a huge difference between 145 and 144. Both have the same self noise, both have the same signal to noise ratio. Looking at the differences, you're going to get more polar patterns with the Vanguard. You're going to get cardioid, figure 8, and omni. You're also going to get a pad, and you're also going to get a 5-year warranty. So more features available on the Vanguard. All right, let's take a look at what these mics come with. So this is the box the TLM102 comes in, and you get the microphone, which has no switches or anything on it because it's just cardioid only, and you get a stand mount. Yeah, I didn't realize that this does not come with a shock mount. If you want the shock mount, it is extra, which we'll talk about when we talk about the price, but I kind of feel like it's disrespectful to buy a mic that doesn't come with a shock mount. I don't know. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts on that. But, I mean, that's it. That's what comes in the box, the mic and a stand mount, and that's it. I mean, you also get the 3/8 adapter. But pretty basic. But let's take a look at the V4 Gen 2. So here's the flight case the V4 Gen 2 comes in, and this has a 3-digit passcode that you can use to lock the case, which I think is really nice because normally mics come with a key that you can use to lock it, which I feel like that key can easily be lost. I don't worry about locking my mics. If you do, definitely comment and let me know. I'm curious who uses that, but I do think this is a much better solution than having that little key to unlock your flight case. But take a look inside. Comes with a wooden box that's got the logo on it, and just what it looks like inside of it. Also get, which I feel is one of the, if not the best, shock mounts in the game. This has the Vanguard logo there, and you also get a mic sleeve as well. If you're going to keep it up on the stand, you can put the sleeve over it to help keep dust and stuff out of it. And then, of course, the microphone, which has the logo on the front. We've got your 3 polar patterns, and then we've got a negative 10 and negative 20 dB pad. All right, let's take a listen to these. You know, I just thought about what I said about not locking my mics, but I just thought about it. I don't travel, or I haven't traveled with my mics before. If I'm traveling with my mic, then yeah, I probably do want to lock it. However, if I'm traveling with my mic, I'm probably just going to bring it as a carry-on item. So still wouldn't lock it in that case because it'll be with me all the time. But anyway, before we get to these listening examples, I do want to point out that this is not a night and day difference. There's subtle differences you're going to hear. And like us in the studio, you're probably going to have to listen back several times before you can really hear those subtle differences. So if you don't hear them right away, don't think nothing is wrong with you, because initially we thought they sounded really close. And I do feel like they do sound close, but when you really sit down and listen, you can hear subtle differences between them. Now, the mic pre that we used is the MicTech MPA201, which is a 2-channel mic pre. No other processing, didn't use any EQ or compression, just mic into the mic pre into a PreSonus Quantum 2626. And we did one take going into both mics at the same time. So you're hearing the exact take on both mics at the same time. All right, let's get into it. So this is a vocal from Trisha Alicia, and the top track is the Vanguard V4, bottom track is the TLM102. I'm going to play it one time through with the Vanguard V4, play it one time through with the TLM102, and then I'm going to play it through twice while I'm switching between them so you can hear the immediate difference. Starting with the Vanguard V4.
I'm slipping, falling in L-O-V-E. How you gonna treat me when I give you my everything? Will you love me? L-O-L-O-L-O-V-E. Will you receive me when you find out I am not perfect? Will you love me still? I'm slipping, falling in L-O-V-E. How you gonna treat me when I give you my everything? Will you love me? L-O-L-O-L-O-V-E. Will you receive me when you find out I am not perfect? Will you love me still? I'm slipping, falling in L-O-V-E. How you gonna treat me when I give you my everything? Will you love me? L-O-L-O-L-O-V-E. Will you receive me when you find out I am not perfect? Will you love me still? I'm slipping, falling in L-O-V-E. How you gonna treat me when I give you my everything? Will you love me? L-O-L-O-L-O-V-E. Will you receive me when you find out I am not perfect? Will you love me still?
So with the TLM102, you are hearing some low-end thumps, and that's just because in the configuration I had, the TLM102 was on the bottom while the V4 was on the top. So she may have kicked the stand or kicked something that caused that rumble. All right, as far as my thoughts between these two mics, so I actually did an interview with Trisha Alicia after we recorded with it. And I did that because I wanted to get her feedback, because she doesn't know anything about these mics. So I thought that it would be interesting to get her feedback on them. And so we discussed my thoughts between the two on how they sound there. If this is just a new idea I had, if y'all like this, definitely comment and let me know, and I'll continue to do it when I do these type of videos, and that's get the artist feedback as well. But let's get into this interview with Trisha Alicia. All right, y'all, I'm Czar. I'm here with Trisha Alicia. We just got through recording vocals on the Neumann TLM102 and the Vanguard V4 Gen 2, and we're going to get her thoughts now that we've played them back and listened to them. So what you think overall between the two?
So overall, I didn't necessarily hear like a world of difference. It wasn't night and day, but there were some differences that I heard. Like I felt like one of the mics had a little bit more, it picked up a little bit more of the low part of my voice on some of the notes. I also felt like one of the mics had a little bit more ring. So on the higher part, it like allowed it to soar a little bit further. Those are the major nuances that I heard.
So the one that you're referring to with the more, you feel had the more low end, that was the Vanguard V4.
The second one.
Yeah, that's the Vanguard V4. And then the TLM102 is when you said was had the more high end.
Yeah, it had a little bit more ring to it. And by that, I just mean like when I got to the high notes, they just sat up a little bit more. They were a little bit more present in the vocal.
So not to what I heard, I feel like the V4 was a little more forward sounding, so a little more in your face. And I think it had more clarity to it as well, which both of these mics being a transformerless mic, clarity is something I definitely look for in a transformerless mic. Definitely, for sure. If you had to choose one, which one do you think you would go for?
I guess it depends, because this song doesn't have, like, it's not so in your face. So because it's more, it doesn't require as much vocally, I would probably pick the one that sits up a little bit more, just because it, and I say sit up, I think, how did you put it more eloquently? It's more present. What did you say?
It's more in your face.
More in your face, yeah. So I would probably pick that one, just because the song does have such a vibe to it. You don't want to get lost in the mellowness of the music. Like, you want your voice to be another instrument. You want it to feel like that on the listener's ear, but at the same time, as an artist, it is your sound. So you do want it to sit up a little bit above the instrumentation.
Gotcha. Okay. So yes, that one being the Vanguard V4 is what we're looking at there.
The Vanguard V4.
And then, so I guess, I know you don't know much about pricing of the mics, but so the V4 is $699, the TLM is $729.
Okay, so they're in the same ballpark.
Yeah, they're in this, which is why I wanted to compare these two, because a lot of people ask me my thoughts of the TLM, and I always recommend the V4. Oh. So, doing this comparison now, y'all can hear why I recommend the V4. But yeah, very close in price comparison between those two.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you heard?
Like you said, it's not a night and day thing, but in music and recording, like, subtle differences end up being a huge difference overall when it comes to it. Especially like the clarity part. Like, I feel like the V4 had more clarity than the TLM, meaning that if I recorded with the TLM, now I've got to try to get that clarity out of the vocal, where with the V4 it's already there. And
I will say, as a singer, there's like little lits and flits and like quick little notes that happen, especially if we were recording this whole song. There's like these little subtle vocal licks and vocal tricks that you do need to have a mic that picks it up, because it is sometimes very nuancey, because it's just a shift. You're not actually maybe hitting another note, or you maybe not actually being so aggressive on those vocal changes, but you want them to be the way you hear them in your head.
Definitely. And you feel like those mics help with that?
I did the is it the V104?
V4.
V4. Ha! I done made up a whole new thing. Yeah, the V4, yeah. Because I could hear the shifts, like I could hear the subtleties. And I guess because it's my voice, I know when they're happening, like because I felt them. So I'm like, oh, I can hear it too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, y'all definitely comment and let me know what y'all think. All right, for rap vocals, we've got an artist named Virghost, and the top track is the Vanguard V4. Bottom track is the TLM102. Just like with the female vocals, I'm going to play it through one time with the V4, play it through one time with the 102, and then I'll play it through twice as I switch between them so you can hear the immediate difference. We're going to start with the Vanguard V4.
Cruising through the city with my sunroof back. Tell my enemies that I'm back. Cruising through the city, ayy. You moving wrong and you making bad decisions. You can't be successful in this game without no vision. You can't shine bright if you always staying hitting. I try to give them some game, but these niggas never listen. Cruising through the city with my sunroof back. Tell my enemies that I'm back. Cruising through the city, ayy. moving wrong and you making bad decisions. You can't be successful in this game without no vision. You can't shine bright if you always staying hitting. I try to give them some game, but these niggas never listen. Cruising through the city with my sunroof back. Tell my enemies that I'm back. Cruising through the city, ayy. You moving wrong and you making bad decisions. You can't be successful in this game without no vision. You can't shine bright if you always staying hitting. I try to give them some game, but these niggas never listen. Cruising through the city with my sunroof back. Tell my enemies that I'm back. Cruising through the city, ayy. You moving wrong and you making bad decisions. You can't be successful in this game without no vision. You can't shine bright if you always staying hitting. I try to give them some game, but these niggas never listen.
All right, so the differences that I'm hearing between these two on Virghost voice, again, just like with Trisha Alicia, I did an interview with Virghost after we recorded with it, so I'm going to let the interview tell those thoughts. So let's get into the interview with Virghost. All right, y'all, I'm Czar. I'm here with Virghost, and we just got finished doing a recording session with the Neumann TLM102 and the Vanguard V4 Gen 2, and we're here to get his thoughts as well as mine on the difference between them as we just got finished recording with them. We did a couple takes with both mics at the same time. So one take was recorded with both mics at the same time. So let me get your initial impressions as you've listened to each microphone.
They're pretty similar in a lot of ways. Like you could, for me personally, in the way I record and the way I like to hear myself, they both kind of you wouldn't go wrong with either one of them. But I think one of them has a slight boldness to it that the other one doesn't have. But it's really, really slight. It's not a lot, but I can just tell. But other than that, they both sound amazing though. Like they both sound really good.
And so we was discussing it before recording. So the one you said that was a little bolder is the Vanguard V4
right.
Gen 2. I'll tell you what I'm hearing. So you haven't heard the female vocals I recorded with him, but I feel like yours was closer than the female vocals I recorded as far as just the tone and everything, to where when you initially listen, you're like, oh, this sounds the exact same. But then when you really, really listen, you start to hear those subtle differences.
You can hear it's different.
So what I'm hearing, I expected the Neumann to be a little bit brighter, and I feel like they both hit the same high-end response as far as on your voice. The V4, like with the female vocal, I felt hit a little more clarity to it, and I feel like the low mids was smoother. With the Neumann, some of those low mids I was getting, I would want to cut those out if I was mixing, whereas the V4, I feel like I can leave them where they are. I feel like the V4 is just overall smoother. Like I said, it is subtle, but
the average person would not be able to tell.
Yeah, I don't think so. They're like, what are y'all talking about?
I can just tell because I really was trying to concentrate and listen to the difference of them. But they both sound really good. But and then it's all preference too, because like I said, I like my vocals to sound bolder. You know what I'm saying? So I think if I was a person that didn't like that bold sound, I would have chose the other mic. Yeah. You know,
so and I also say that the between those two, the Neumann, I feel like I would have to do a little more work to get it to where I want it, where the Vanguard is just kind of already there. And even though we may even call it a 5% difference, I mean, when it comes down to which one I would prefer, I'm going to take the one that's closer to what I'm already looking for, or the one that's going to take the least work, out of my opinion. What do you think about the size of it? Because you commented on how small the Neumann is.
I usually, the mics I record on are usually nowhere near that small. I don't actually think I've ever seen a mic that small. I'm trying to remember, but I mean, no, I actually haven't. I haven't seen a mic that small. Actually, I didn't even know. Like, other than like, I know my friend had a podcast and she was recording with one of those Blue Spark mics, but it was like a little globe. Yeah. But that's probably the smallest mic I ever seen.
No, that, and which, knock towards the Neumann, but I just brought it up because you did bring up the size when we came in.
And the small one, my bad.
You good?
Oh, that was truth. I ain't mean to hang up on.
Shout out, Truth.
Yeah, I mean, hang up.
Roswell makes a line called the Mini K line, which is they're actually, I think the Neumann might be a little bit smaller, but they're both like small type mics. But the funny thing with that Roswell line of those Mini K mics, I've always felt. I felt a certain way about putting them up on vocals, just because I'd feel like the artist would be like, "What is this little mic?" Like,
yeah, it didn't make me feel like that, especially
Okay.
if it's like an engineer that I feel like know what they know what they doing. Like I don't really question it, like you know what I'm saying? Because I know my engineer has different mics and stuff like that that look different. I don't really question it though. Like I feel like if you know what you're doing, you know why you use it as mic, so it is what it is. But just it being small don't really. I just was surprised when I saw it because I wasn't expecting for a mic. I've never seen a mic this small before. So.
All right. Well, that's our take on the Neumann TLM102 versus the Vanguard V4 Gen 2. All right. So I know this is going to sound like Neumann slander or a Vanguard commercial, but don't get it wrong. I don't hate the TLM102. I just don't think it sounds as good as the Vanguard V4 Gen 2. And again, it's not a night and day difference. It is subtle, but even though it's subtle, I'm going to take what I prefer slightly better in sound. So let's get into the reasons why I recommend the Vanguard over the Neumann. One, you're going to get more features with the Vanguard. You're going to get multiple polar patterns. You're going to get a pad, and just the presentation, what it comes with, it just feels like a more premium product than what you get with the Neumann. You just get the mic that stand mount and the box. I don't know if the one with the shock mount comes with a flight case or not. I'm not sure, but definitely a more premium feeling product that you get with the Vanguard. Another reason I prefer, well, we just talked about the sound. I feel like the V4 is smoother sounding and has a little more clarity than the TLM102. So regarding sound, again, I just think the V4 sounds slightly better. The third reason is the price. So without a shock mount, you're looking at $729 US for the Neumann TLM102. With the Vanguard V4, it is $699. And as I'm recording this, if you are watching this before June 30th, 2023, this Vanguard V4 Gen 2 is actually on sale right now, as well as the rest of the Vanguard mics, where you can get it for $599 right now. Now, that brings up another point. Vanguard, I think this is their second sale of the year. I've never seen a Neumann mic go on sale. Not from Neumann. I guess maybe the dealer or retailer may discount it, maybe, but I've never seen a Neumann mic on sale. Again, the Vanguard mic, you can end up catching that on sale from time to time. But right now, until June 30th, 2023, you can pick it up for $599. So those are the reasons why I recommend the Vanguard V4 Gen 2 over the Neumann TLM102. They're both workhorse mics, but with the Vanguard V4, just those multiple polar patterns, having the pad, it just makes it a whole lot more versatile. Another transformerless mic I really like is the Mojave MA50, but it falls in the same camp as the Neumann TLM102 because it's just cardioid only. So I'd rather have a mic with more features, even though, Omni Figure 8, not something I use every day, but when you need it and you have it, it is a lifesaver. All right, so those are the reasons why I recommend the Vanguard over the Neumann. Again, I'll have a link in the description for both of these mics if y'all want to learn more about them, check them out, or pick them up. And definitely comment and let me know what you think. Do you prefer the Neumann? Do you prefer the Vanguard? What differences do you hear? Comment and let me know. All right, if you enjoyed this video, I appreciate a thumbs up. And if y'all want to continue to see content from me, then y'all know what to do.